it's House 2, the second story from 1987. Where do I even start with this batshit crazy movie? It's nuts. The film just makes absolutely no sense at all, and it's fantastic. It's so much fun. I I love this movie, absolutely love it. Now again, same thing as my house review, rose tinted glasses, because I think the second most watched movie I did as a kid was House 2. As soon as House 2 came out, it just took over the first House, and I just binged it and binged it and binged it because I just loved it so much. But I hadn't seen it in such a long time. I think like the last time I watched this sequel was probably when I was a kid. So it's been an awful long time. And then the first time I watched it was today to do this review for you. So I wasn't sure whether I would like it as much again, because it's so drastically different from the first House movie. Drastically different. As in, they've took all the comedy elements of what the first one had and just doubled up on it for the sequel and got rid of the horror. Because this isn't a horror movie at all. Let's just get that straight out. It really isn't. This is more a comedy, fantasy, adventure movie. And I feel like with the sequel, it was definitely aimed more towards children, like family entertainment. Because I can't believe they would cater to the same audience that loved the first one, because I can understand a lot of the criticisms fans have with the second one. Is it is so drastically different from the first. So before I get ahead of myself, I'll explain the plot a little bit, the best I can, off the top of my head, right? So House 2 has absolutely nothing to do with the first House. Like, it's a completely different story, different characters. There's no relation to the first one at all. So it follows a guy called Jesse, who inherits a house from his family, who his parents got murdered in. As he moves into the house with his girlfriend, he's going through books and family albums and finds that his great-great-grandfather was a hunter and had found a crystal skull, which apparently grants eternal life. So him and his best friend Charlie decide, well, his great-granddad must be buried with the skull and they should just go and dig him up and get the skull back. By the way, there's not a conversation, more of a conversation about that. They just literally agree, let's dig your great-granddad up. For the off chance there's a crystal skull in there. No debate, no second thoughts, no, is that really what we should be doing? They just literally go ahead and do it. And that's not even the most bonkers part. After they dig him up, lo and behold, the skull is actually there in the grave. That's lucky. What isn't so lucky is his great-grandpa is actually still alive and starts attacking Jesse. So then once Jesse turns around to his great-grandfather and says, I'm your great-grandson, Jesse, they bond, they take zombie Gramps back home, give him a beer, and put him up for the night. Like it's nothing. They just accept that this has happened. They just accept that his dead, completely dead granddad is still alive. Like, it's just a normal Tuesday. I'll just bring him back to the house. Here's a bed. I'll see you in the morning. We'll have a chat. And it's what I love about the movie, though, is that it if you can just gather from that little part of what I'm just saying to you, it really doesn't take itself seriously at all. And you've got to admire that about the movie as well. You really do. It's nuts. It really is nuts. So, to get into my positives of the movie, is the three main characters is Jesse, and I forget the actor who plays him. I'm sorry, Charlie and Gramps, and the chemistry between the three of them is really good. I like it, especially between like Jesse and his mate Charlie. There's a lot of funny moments between them, and I like the comedy in this movie. This film actually generally made me laugh quite a few times, and especially I like the relationship with Jesse and Gramps. And the guy that plays Gramps, I think his name was Royal Dano. Um, he does an absolutely brilliant job as Gramps. He really brings a heart and soul to the role and to the movie. And there's a couple of moments in the film where it's really heartfelt. It's surprisingly touching. And it even got me now watching it today to do this review. I felt a couple of times feeling a bit, teary eyed, but maybe that's just because I'm a soft shite anyway, and whatever. But I like the interaction between the three leads, I really do. Also, the same as the first House movie, the effects and the makeup and the puppetry is absolutely fantastic. It really is. Like the main villain in the movie, his name's Slim. Can't remember the last name. I think it's Risa or something like that. The way he's made up in his costume makeup, he looks badass and he's intimidating as hell. I mean, I'm not being funny. You'd take one look at him in the house and you're long gone. See you later. It's yours. Here's the skull. You have it. That's the thing as well with this skull. I completely forgot to mention that. I was talking about the plot. Zombie Gramps turns around to Jesse and Charlie and says they have to protect the skull because a lot of evil spirits will come to get it and they want possession of it for themselves for whatever reason. It doesn't really explain why. I would just say for bad things. Let's just say that. And I will get into my negatives about something with the skull before I go into that one. I will stay with me positives. And also, I like the set design of the house. Inside the house, the sign of it is beautiful. And I like the way it has like different colour lights shining through. I don't know what them kind of glass pane windows are called, but it's got like different colours in it and light just shines through and it just lights up the room and the fireplace. And it just looks really good. It just sets a nice atmosphere. Also, my favourite part of the movie, and I know this is going to be in a lot of people's negatives, but it's my positive, is, and I don't want to butcher the actor's name, I think it's John Ratzenberger. You will notice during these reviews, I am really bad with pronouncing names, so get used to it now because I am really bad and I won't get any better. He used to be in Cheers, and I forget the character he used to play in Cheers, but he plays Bill, full-time electrician, part-time adventurer, and he is hilarious in this movie. Him being in this film makes absolutely zero sense whatsoever. But up to this point, there's been a barbarian, a caterpillar puppy. You heard me right. A caterpillar puppy, which is the cutest thing in any damn movie I've ever seen, by the way. And a dinosaur. So, bear that in mind as I'm explaining this to you, okay? It's already batshit nuts, right? So he turns up because they need work done in the house because some of the lights don't work in the room. So he rocks up and he just starts pulling out a wire in the wall. And then as he keeps going, it's ripping, big crack in the wall, develops a hole where he's been banged it in with a hammer. Goes around and sees Jesse. It's like, Jesse, you just need to come and have a look at this for a second, mate. Jesse's trying to get rid of him because the skull has been stolen for the 20,000 times since they've had it for maybe a couple of hours or a day or whatever. They're crap at looking after the skull, by the way, but I'm getting into my negatives with that one. And Bill the electrician goes, no, come on, come with me. You need to see this. And as they go back into the room, he goes, looks like you got an alternative dimension through that wall. I see this all the time. Right? Makes no sense. Get these all the time. So Jesse and Charlie start to go in to sort of my ultimate dimension, alternative dimension. Sorry, put my teeth back in to get the skull back. And he goes, "You don't want to go there alone, boys. I'm going to come in with you." Opens up his toolbox and just picks out a sword and goes in with them. I'm not making this up, by the way, guys. This is generally what happens in the movie, right? So he goes in. There's about to be a virgin sacrifice. Okay, why not? We're throwing everything else into this movie. This might as well do as well. Helps them. And as they're making their way out, he's already back in the front room, just cleaning his glasses, putting his sword back in his box. Like it's nothing. "Oh, here's my card. See you later." Nuts. I would love to see a whole movie with just him. I wish they would have made a spin-off with this. I really do. Because it's absolutely bonkers. Just going into my negatives with this one as well is it is tonally completely different to the first House movie. And I can completely understand at the time why the critics didn't give it a fair go and why audiences were kind of turned off from it because it didn't really do well when it came out. It didn't do as well as what the first House did. And I think that was due to bad reviews and probably word of mouth as well. I think as when I was looking into it, it only made something like 10 million worldwide on a 3 million budget. And I think the problem it had was, like I say, it leaned too much towards the comedy and lost the horror aspect of it. And I think that turned a lot of audiences off at the time. So I do understand that. And also, right, yeah, about the skull. Right, so if every evil spirit is trying to get to the skull, they just leave it on top of a fireplace. And that's it. It's got no protection around it. There's no alarms. There's no nothing. So it just makes no sense to me. Like, they never explain if it like needs to actually be there in the house, like actually there where they leave it. I don't think it does. So if you really need to protect it that much, either keep it with you, share it between the three of you, keep it in a safe, lock it away somewhere so they literally physically can't get to it. But it's always just left out in the open on top of the fireplace and it gets taken all the time. You know what I mean? It baffles me. It's like, oh, yeah, this is really important. Really, we can't let anyone take this. We can't let any evil spirits take this. Yeah, we'll just leave it there on top of the fireplace and, let's hope luck will be on our side. It just doesn't make any sense. But don't let that take away from the fact that I had when I was a kid, and more recently I had a lot of fun watching this movie. I really did. It is what it is. It's just cheesy, fun fantasy adventure. It really is, and it's a funny movie as well. And I can't rate this as high as what I did with the first House movie, because I prefer the first one. I do, but I think I'd give this one. I'll give this one a 3.5 out of 5. 3.5 Savage Zombies out of 5. I think it's definitely worth your time, but I also understand that if you did enjoy the first one, you probably more than likely won't enjoy the second one. Or vice versa. Maybe if you didn't enjoy the first one, you'd probably find more enjoyment in the second one because it pushes the comedy more. So it is what it is. It's whatever you prefer. But I loved it. I'm just not looking forward to doing House 3.